Hi. So just jumping right on into it, there are few people that really just like get under my skin and just really bug the crap out of me. So I had a crap day, much like other people in this area, because of the traffic that you deal with after you come home, on top of a few other things, but I'm not getting into that. Bad day at work. So I'm like, okay, finally, I'm gung-ho about finally grocery shopping after putting it off for 2.5, 3 weeks. I finally get to Safeway. I live 15 miles away from work, and it took me an hour and a half to get home, or in the area to Safeway. It's right across the street from where I live. So I finally get to Safeway, and I'm like, okay, I've got my list. I prepared it before I left work. I'm going to be in, out. Like, I know exactly how to weave up and down the aisles and get exactly what I need, and I'm done. Super simple. So, well, it wasn't that simple. I couldn't find one of the things that I needed, and I don't think that they sell it at all. But I get in there, and everything is going fairly smooth, minus that one item. Finally give up and say that I'll make my own and call it a day. So I'm in the checkout, and there's this guy, older, middle-aged man, who is coming down the aisle, down the aisle, and all the cash register lights are off except for the one, which is the line that I'm in. And I've got a cart of stuff because I waited 2.5 weeks to do my grocery shopping because I don't always like being an adult. So this guy comes up, and I don't even see what exactly it is that he's holding at first. I just hear him, and he's like, excuse me, are you open? And I could tell that it obviously wasn't the lane that I was in, and he, I guess, was told, no, I'm not open, and so he proceeds to say, oh, looks at me, so we finally make eye contact. He's like, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and stand in this long-looking line then. And just that alone, I was like, you know what, I had a bad day too, so I get it. If he doesn't have a lot of stuff, which as it turns out, he had roses, which I'll get to in a minute, and I think that might have been it. So I'm putting all my cart stuff up on the register, and there are like maybe 2 people in front of me, 5 to 10 items a piece, and one person is already halfway through. And so I finally look at him because he's like behind me, and he's like, I'm like, okay, well, so I look at him like, you know what? If nobody is able to check you out until the time that the person in front of me is done, I'll let you go in front of me. And he says, thanks, but it looks like it's moving a little bit slow, so I don't really know what they expect me to do. I only have one item. I don't see what the big deal is. I'm like, okay, well, that immediately makes me want to retract my offer for you to go in front of me because, one, I didn't have to offer that to you, and I have stood behind people before with one item in my hands when they've had a crap ton of items, and they don't offer a spot in front of them, and you know what? It's fucking life sometimes, and it's irritating, but you know what? That's what you deal with sometimes. Don't yell at Safeway for being short-staffed and not being able to make a lane just for you. As it turns out, they did, which irritated me even more. But it's just like, I don't understand why you have to be such a jerk about it. Like, if you are finally being offered by someone with a cart full of items that you can cut in front of them, if nobody opens a lane just for you, be grateful, maybe. Like, that's kind of like another bonus. Like, yeah, like, life is giving me something. I should run with this. Like, this is awesome. This just made my night better. I was complaining about not having another register open, and this lady was nice enough to let me go in front of her instead of waiting for her to check out $100 worth of stuff. But no, just being a straight-up jerk. Made me feel bad for him because he can't see the little silver linings and things like that alone. It made me feel bad for the woman that he was most likely getting apology roses for, because he probably did something to mess it up, and to be honest, I think that she deserves a hell of a lot more than just roses for putting up with his ass. I wouldn't. I mean, unless he really was caught on an off day, but the way that he was, and I hate to stereotype, but the way that he was dressed, and his sense of entitlement to being able to check out faster than anyone else because he only had one item. Like, give me a fucking break. I've been there before, and I've waited for 20 minutes with one item because nobody else wants to give up their spot. I get it. I've been that person before, too. I'm like, oh, sucks for you. You have one item, but you know what? I've been sitting in an hour and a half's worth of traffic to go 15 miles. I'm checking the fuck out as soon as I can. But no, I was like, you know what? Maybe he had a worse day than I did, but I think that he probably just has a worse life than I do. There are very, very few people that get under my skin, and for whatever reason, I felt compelled enough to vent to someone, but then I realized that there probably aren't a whole lot of people that feel like hearing me complain, because then I would go on and on and on and on about everything else in my life that is irritating me at this point. Whereas here, if I make a video about it, I can just stop right here, and that's exactly what I'll do. So, just my 2 cents. Maybe you should be grateful when the person with a cart full of items decides to let you cut in front of them if you only have one item, because that doesn't happen every day. It's a rarity. So take it. When life gives you lemons, try to make something semi-sweet with it. That's it. I'm done. See you later.